Hi, this is day 33 of Daily Spark. Oh my God, I just went somewhere else. Day 33 of Daily Spark questions. And what's getting funny is like now that we're past the first month of the numbers, now it's not so easy to be like, well, today is February 2nd, so it's the second number. No, now it gets hard. Oh, so hard. I actually have the number here. So, day 33, what am I calling intuition that may actually be sensitivity to subtle cues in my environment? This is a good one. What am I calling intuition that may actually be sensitivity to subtle cues in my environment? The more I've been on my own path of the spirituality kind of path of like what feels right to me in terms of like on a scale of very practical to woo woo. I don't like that word, but I don't know what else to say because to me, I think I've said this before. Like I was trying to figure out what is woo woo to me. To me, it's like it's not something has like it's more conceptual than a felt, lived, actual experience, if you want to call it an experience, but it's like that felt, lived knowing is not there in the woo woo world. It feels more like, oh, these are just ideas of what I hope the spiritual world is like, or what I like to believe, even though I haven't really felt it. Like, it's not my truth necessarily. Now, I guess you could be all woo woo and you could feel like it's your truth, but it still feels very conceptual to me. So, why is that important? I think because when I think about intuition, that's another thing I've been evolving with is like intuition is just this word we've had in our mass collective vocabulary forever. It's not new, like a lot of the new age spiritualism kind of lingo is. So over time, over this period of like it used to be like, oh, my intuition is just like that gut knowing. It wasn't spiritual. It was just to me, it was like my deepest inner knowing. And then through the spiritual journey, and I don't even want to call it that anymore because nothing is different. It just feels like maybe more focus in my life is being placed into that growth beyond my conditioning. So that feels like a very practical thing. And through that, because it's just the conditioning I've had as a human and how to break free from it. And I think a lot of times my head like tried to like, what is going on here? What am I doing? You know, it doesn't feel like the classic self-help section of a, you know, bookstore. You know, it felt deeper, more personal, more, and I wanted to say more spiritual in the sense that there's like a larger self that I want to embody, you know, not just this limited, contracted, dysfunctional behavior kind of self. So, whatever you want to call it, see, that's why words are hard. All of this, you could call that self help, personal growth, whatever. And then a lot of people call it like a spiritual growth or awakening because we're awakening to that larger self that is already whole. There's nothing wrong with that larger self. It's just all the other stuff that gets in the way. Some people call that shadow work, and that has a spiritual slant. Some people just call it psychology. Some people like so intuition is one of those words that I've tried to evolve with, like to keep checking in anyway, to say, like, what does intuition mean to me? What is it? Because all these loaded words, they can mean so many different things to so many different people, myself included. And so I think about more lately about my nervous system and how what I'm going through is really a nervous system healing or regulation. Healing is also a loaded word. I don't even like to use that anymore a lot of times. So it's like I'm just, you know, checking in with my nervous system like all the time, picking up on those cues as much as I can because noticing helps me inquire, really like work with it and release it. It's as simple as that. Nervous system cue, go into it, and then it releases. Usually kind of in that order, not necessarily that quickly. Takes a lot of revisiting a lot of times. And so that, to me, that's a very practical way. Like, so that's, to me, intuition feels still like that, the gut knowing of yes, this is for me, or no, this is not for me. And that intuition could be the cues in the environment. So if because it says, what could intuition actually be? Sensitivity to the subtle cues in the environment? Absolutely. Because it's those I don't know what to call it, so not subconscious necessarily, but subcognitive cues. Like, we are taking in so much information, but our limited mind here, the one that's like, aware of what it's taking in, it's actually not aware of so much that it's still taking in. And I feel like that kind of bypasses the frontal lobe and goes straight to some other lobe. I have no idea what lobes are involved in that. I've learned about it and I've forgotten it so many times. So it's like other things that don't hit right here and say, oh, I'm aware of that. Oh, I'm aware of that. Oh, I'm aware of that. And here's how I feel about it, blah, blah, blah. Other things are kind of going woo, and like straight to the gut or something, wherever the nervous system is still like working behind the scenes. And yeah, then we can feel like, oh, something doesn't feel good about walking down this dark alley, or whatever. So what am I calling intuition that may actually be sensitivity to subtle cues in my environment? I think it wants me to really ask, well, what specifically in my life am I still calling intuition? I don't know lately if I talk about it that way so much. Not really recently. Hold on, I need to think on this. Okay, I didn't have any from like recent days, because I feel like doing the nervous system work, like being kind of hyper aware about it lately, is making me not focus so much on that, the word intuition. I'm just like, what am I sensing? Let's look at it. Where did it come from? What's it about? Blah, blah, blah. So, but I have examples from the past, and it's usually in like crowds of people. I would sometimes call it intuition about, don't really want to go hang out right next to that group of people, because it feels like an energy I don't want to be around, and that could just be an energy thing. But it felt like intuition of like, sometimes I don't know why, but I'm going to stay right here. Or because I used to be a bartender for a few years, and I feel like it's like nothing but stimuli, constant coming in to your awareness. It's like you have even bartender ears, they call it. So it's like I can hear everything, even though I'm just like focused on you, getting you your drink. And then there's like, you're aware of so much coming in, and so I think I was just attuned now to like, it's just me and then a whole bunch of people. So it's like trying to make, like, you are on high alert, and you think you're capturing everything with this part. No, there's still more like you're taking in, and it's like, I can't believe. I loved it. It was so fun. I loved being on like high alert for a while. And then I feel like I was calling a lot of things intuition. Like there's something about that person. I may have seen them 100 times before, but today they're coming in with, they're different. They're looking for a fight, or they're bringing in some baggage, or they just want to start some shit. I don't know, but there were those kinds of things. And if I would have called it intuition before, now I would call it subtle cues to my environment. There's subtle facial expressions, there's subtle body postures, there's like all of that. So what even is intuition? I have no idea. I think it's okay. Here, I'll say it right now, given what we just talked about. I think it's a made up word for bypassing, because a lot of like I won't feel this way tomorrow, maybe not even after I push stop, who knows, but I kind of want to say it just to provoke myself to say, do I really believe that? Like, intuition's a made up word used for, but not necessarily bypassing. Everything's like a useful tool at some degree. Like, I do tarot readings, and I feel like, and I say this to people and I still believe it, like it is a way, just, it's not a predictive thing. It is a way to help you tap into your own answers, like your own intuitive knowing of what your answers are. You already have all your answers by drawing cards and discussing the energies. Like, there's a way that it works that people come to their own ahas, like they bubble up from inside. So I feel like intuition, it's not bypassing. So see, I had to provoke myself. To me, what it is, it's like a mediator, maybe. Yeah, that's a word I like. It's a mediator between this and the physical sensation, the nervous system. Oh, I love that. I just got all the chills. Intuition is a mediator between the mind and the nervous system, the mind and the body. And it's a thing that sometimes we place too much emphasis on as its own separate thing that we then identify with. And I feel like that can be called spiritual bypassing. Just like, I'm just going to bypass the body sensations. I don't want to feel the body sensations. That's what I mean by bypassing. It's like, it's scary in there. I don't like the way it feels, blah, 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 blah. Let's call it intuition and then say, I know this. It's in my guts, So it's still a useful tool. I like to call it a mediator. Let's sit with that for a day and see how it feels. I like it. I'm probably not the first one to say that. I think I'm done. Bye.